What's up, guys? We are going crankbait fishing, particularly the 5XD. Well, I haven't done a cranking video in a while, and there's a reason for that. There's a lost art in cranking. It's getting worse every single year. Now, a little of that is because of live scope. You know, like the just trends are different now, and people aren't cranking as much. Like, you don't see videos on it really. You don't see people doing it in tournaments. I just rarely see guys getting out there on some of these ledges, points, creek channel bends, and cranking a lot. I really grew up throwing square bills. Not really square bills, because even square bills weren't really around when I was growing up. It was more, I was really into like speed traps and the Bandit 200s and things like that around Livingston. I used to throw them down like man-made little rock banks and things like that. And then I got really good at throwing them in boat docks. It wasn't until I moved to Rayburn that I started throwing deeper diving crankbaits, and particularly the 6XD. The 6XD was my introduction into like deep cranking, and I loved it. Like, I liked the 6XD. The 5XD was this other crankbait, right? And this is the 5XD. We're going to talk about this, and I'm going to show some videos and catch some fish on it today. The 5XD I didn't really get into right away. The reason was, like I said, I didn't know any different. Everyone on Rayburn threw a 6XD. I started throwing one, started catching fish. I went through a lot of different crankbaits, deep diving crankbaits. I worked for Strike Pro for a while, so I threw this one crankbait that kind of looks like a Norman, kind of like a DD22. It was different. It was called the Warmouth Wobbler. Caught a lot of big ones on that, but they were hard to find. Well, almost impossible to find because Strike Pro wasn't an American-made company, so you couldn't even get one. But I had a bunch of those, and the colors were all weird. I started throwing a 6XD more and more because I could basically throw that one color, and they were always available. I could always get them, and I was like, hey, these things catch some giants. The 5XD came later because on Rayburn and on certain lakes, there are depths in which you catch a lot of fish. Like, that's where you kind of like focus on. And a lot of that is based on the contour of like where points and things and flats drop off. And so on Rayburn, a lot of these fish like to hang around this 12 to 16, 14 foot of water, which was perfect for the 6XD. So like, that's sometimes where the break would be. And so that like a 5XD really wouldn't hit that. And so I just got used to throwing a 6XD around, and Rayburn's so big, Toledo Bend's so big, places like that it takes you years to like cover all that water. Even then, you don't cover it all. So I was always covering, looking for spots in that depth range. The 5XD didn't come around till much later, and I would use it here and there. A lot of times I would find them a little bit shallower, and a lot of times I would find them I would throw it around brush piles. But then I started realizing that there were some fish in this like shallower water, this 8 to 10 foot water. And I know they were always there, but I just didn't go looking for them. And so that's what I've been doing lately, is finding these fish in this shallower water that I think get overlooked. It's kind of shallow. A lot of people don't side image that. A lot of people don't look for it. A lot of people aren't live scoping that water. And so I've learned to start looking for that. It's like a lot of the fish are like going deeper. I wouldn't say they're going shallower, but some fish are like going shallower on some of these lakes where they're not getting messed with because they're all out there too deep. They're either way on out there, they're on those ledges out there where it drops off into real deep water, or people that are like close to the bank are fishing the bank. They're not in that little in-between area. That's where I've been throwing the 5XD. So I will say, I found these fish the other day. I found them. I can't really show. I got this one crankbait that we're working on with Strike King. It was my first day ever throwing it. Like, there's only one of them. Well, I got a couple more made. I broke off on it after catching some giants. And I found them that way. And then I was like, I'm coming back out here because like I just love a 5XD bite. So I've been out there, and this is me throwing it. 7 foot of water, and then there was two spots. I had two spots, one about 7 to 8 and then one about 10 to 11, and both of them were just unreal. So here it is. I'll explain a little bit about what I like to do with the crankbait, colors, rod and reel, things like that, and then what I'm looking for, like what I'm actually throwing it on and why they're there. This isn't where I caught them. I caught them right over there. But I think they're just, I was just about to switch too. Why? Just because they're not, like, they're down there. They're not really reacting, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, I don't think, there he is. There's another one, good one. I think. Here she comes up. Not a bad one though. I'll catch fish like this all day long. There's just nothing better than catching them on a crankbait like this. Get it barely hooked. That's why I went to that lighter rod. I mean, just one little hook on the outside, not even in the inside of the mouth. You know, that's why I go to that lighter rod. Sometimes it's just, like I said, they're just not, I can tell they're not biting hard. I've had a couple bites where they missed it. I've changed colors. I don't know if that really matters yet. I have caught, I think, 2 on each color now. But like I said, that one barely got it, but that lighter rod sometimes allows you to get that one little hook in them. A little bad fish though. So what we got going on here, like I said, it's early in the morning. They're scattered around. A lot of times this time of year, like to catch them really good, they'll get stacked up. I talked about that earlier. And right now, like, I'm just fan casting around and kind of getting random bites here and there, which is good. It's gonna get better. I've been out here before on a lot of these lakes, and you'll start seeing action. You know, you'll see a fish school here and there, see bait fish jump. You're not seeing any of that right now. And that's okay. It just means they're not really fired up, they're not schooled up, but it's gonna get better as the day goes on. A lot of people think that morning and evening time is the best. Sometimes in the middle of the summer, that middle of the day is really, really good. A lot of people aren't out on the water. It gets too hot for people when they go in. I swear, I love coming out here when it's 100 degrees and those fish just start busting and getting schooled up, and you can really catch them. You can have some of those days where you catch 40, 50, 60 a day. You just keep throwing in there when they, like I said, they're like that. You just kind of keep going in there, and they'll eventually, you'll get one of them to react the right way, you know? Then he runs right into my trolling motor. This is gonna be fun. Okay, there we go. Not just a giant, but you know, like I said, we're catching fish. But even like that one was on the outside of his mouth. Like I can feel them almost every cast. Sometimes I don't know if they're hitting it or I'm running into them. There's that many of them down there, and we're getting them to bite. It's just kind of taking them a little bit more and more, but that's all right. I think it's only going to get better. But yeah, the cast before, I had some bite it. Even on that cast, you know, the cast before I had quite a few bite, and like, you know, what do you do on that? Sometimes it's a color thing, but I really don't think it is, because I've changed colors. It doesn't seem to matter. I just don't think they're in the right frame of mind. They're moving all around. There's little groups of them, and you just kind of get at that group, and you kind of get one or two fired up, and then one of them eats it. It's just crankbait fishing sometimes. And so just keep throwing in there, get them to react. It's all a reaction bait. 5XD is perfect for that. Get it on the bottom. I cannot catch one suspended. It has to be hitting the bottom right now. And I think that's what's triggering those bites. You just gotta kind of have everything kind of go right on the right cast, and you'll get one to bite. There he is. God, this is fun. Oh, there's a good one. That's what we've been after. That's what we've been after right there, guys. Oh, here he comes. Yeah. I mean, guys, this cranking, you know, with everything going on like it is right now, look at that fish. With technology and everything, you can still catch them. You can still catch good ones cranking, guys. Like I said, everything going on. The minnow and technology and spinning rods. Throwing a big old crankbait out there on them, having them loaded up like that, catching big ones. You can catch them a bunch in a row. So as you can see, these are my here are all my crankbaits, and here are like all my 6XDs and 5XDs. I got a bunch of them. Color. Every region of the country has this like really good color. Texas, we all throw the blue, chartreuse blue. This is my other one, green gizzard. I go out there usually with minimum 2 crankbaits if I'm going to go cranking. If I'm going and just like messing around, I'll just have that blue and chartreuse one on. The blue and chartreuse one does a couple things. One, it gets, if there's a fired up fish, they eat the blue and chartreuse one first cast. So say you're like a search bait, even if there's just a single one out there or a bunch of them out there, a lot of times it's like the most active fish out there is going to eat the blue and chartreuse one every single time. So it's my searching bait. It also catches giants. Now I'm not saying you can't spend the whole day throwing it, but that's just, I just know it's going to work. So if I don't know the crankbait bites on, I can bring one rod and throw that one bait and know I can get away with it. I think, like I knew there were some fish out there the other day. I bring this one too. 2 totally different colors, right? Totally different contrast too. So I want something so different that after they've seen one a bunch, I can throw the other one. Now, I'll be honest with you, with live scope, I've never been able, I'm really shocked to see how many fish sometimes we're cranking around. And especially when you get them schooled up, how much they really want a crankbait. I've even learned too, because a lot of these places, I'm like, when they stop buying a crankbait, I'm like, oh, I can pick up other things and throw it and catch them. I was amazed at being able to throw Ned rigs, Carolina rigs, worms, all kinds of stuff in there and not get bit. I might do a whole nother video on that, and just I cannot get bit, and then pick up a crankbait and start catching them again. So the crankbait has this drawing power and this like reaction bite power that's unlike a lot of their baits. And so that 5XD is that one bait. And will other crankbaits catch them? Yes. Here's my thoughts on why I select certain baits. It's not important if you're just trying to catch some fish, but if you're trying to catch fish consistently or you're unsure. Any bait like the 5XD that's been around forever. I mean, it's been around forever. There's a movement to it that fish like, that they're never going to get tired of, in the sense of it's always going to work for whatever reason. When you see baits last 20 something years, it's because their movement works. And so it dives the right depth, it runs true, it kicks off, it doesn't come up, it has a vibration, it has all the qualities that fish like. So I can just tie it on there. I don't have to worry about all the other talk, all the other people talking in my ear. Oh, this crankbait, I've caught so many fish on it, and to be quite honest, everyone has. It's just proven itself. What I was looking for at this time, there's not a lot of points where I'm at. There's not a lot of drop-offs or nothing. I was basically just fishing the creek channel. A lot of times, if you go up the lake or up a creek or certain places, the further back you go in those places, the less points you have, the less drop-offs you have, but you have creek channels, especially in the fall. We all know that fish like to go up in the creek channel, and a lot of them, people think you have to go way on back there. But that's not true. You just figure out where they're at on the creek channel, like what section they're at. And a lot of times that's where it's just a depth thing. They just want to be at a certain depth. And it seemed like, especially in the fall, they're not very deep, right? The shad are shallower, the bass are shallower. So I just looked for a depth, and I just go where creek channel bends are. Now, before live scope or even side imaging, when I used to not even side image these places because sometimes they're schooled up, sometimes they're not. I would just get in the creek channel. I just go down the creek channel, cranking left and right, going slow, looking for channel bends. You didn't have to be perfect when you find these fish. You don't have to make the perfect cast if they're schooled up or whatever, and they're wanting to bite first cast. So you didn't have to make a bunch of casts. You're just trying to find where they're at. Now on those creek channels, there's a couple things. There could either be timber, there could be nothing, but usually on a channel bend, a lot of times there's either, it's higher, sometimes there's a lip, like a little lip on the channel so that they'll get on that lip. Sometimes there's like a slough on the other side. When I mean a slough is like a little depression. Sometimes they'll get in that depression. And then other times it's just a hard, channel bends make a hard spot, right? So they'll usually set up on the outside edge of a channel bend. Now, from what I've seen is you'll get some that look like a snake, right? But then you'll get one that maybe call them a switchback, one that's like a hard switchback. And those are good, but what I've seen is if you look at a channel bend, especially on your map, you'll see them kind of do this, and then they'll do this, and then they'll do that. Usually somewhere in that real crazy bends, if you find a whole bunch of crazy bends all together, that's where I'm gonna look first. That's like a big time secret. I'll go into that. I'll probably go into some of this stuff on my private channel. I think I'm gonna go take a huge deep dive into my private channel. My private channel, I think, is I'm gonna start doing I already do a lot with my private channel. Like I show tons of baits that I don't really talk about on this one. Tons of those series. I've got some series in there, but we're gonna do some more on my private channel. I can just do more with them, and it's gonna be a super in-depth, like looking at maps, looking at all this stuff. I think I'm gonna get even more involved, and I think all those guys on my private channel already say that like I'm doing a bunch on there. I think I'm gonna do more. I think I'm gonna do more with this YouTube stuff. Is so much of it is so much more about drama and everything else. Those guys just want to fish, and so sometimes it's a lot easier to do those videos with those guys, ask questions, get more in depth. Like y'all can ask questions. It's easier to ask a question than me do a whole entire video about some of that stuff, and I can do it at any point in time. But for right now, that's what I'm looking for, and I'm just cranking around trying to find these fish, and then you'll see me. I'll switch between different colors, right? That's the simple part. Like I said, we'll get more and more in depth on the private channel. I have it on two different rods. This is my 6XD, the XD cranking rod, okay, from Lew's. This is a 7.6. Then I have a 5XD cranking rod. Now, it's a preference thing. I can throw both. I have, like I said, 6XD, 5XD rod. This is a 7.6 as well. This one's just a little bit lighter. Some guys like a lighter rod. I have always liked a little bit stiffer rod. So like this is just a 6XD rod. It's still light, but I'll throw a 5XD on it. To be honest with you, we catch a lot of giants down here. I mean, there's certain parts of the country where a 5 or 6 pounder is a big one. Don't get me wrong. 5 and 6 pounder is a big one. The difference is we have possibilities of 8 to 10 pounders. We also are fishing around stumps, trees, brush, all kinds of different things. Your line gets hung up on them. We fish around a lot of brush piles. It's just I just like a little bit heavier rod because sometimes we're dealing with a little bit heavier fish. I usually throw it on this Custom Pro, the Lew's Custom Pro. This is a 6/8 to 1 reel. What that is, it's not really a 5 to 1. They're putting so many numbers in there, it's even hard for me to realize what they are. I just know I usually like to throw everything I have on a 7 to 1 or more. And if I ever get less than that in a gear ratio, that's usually my cranking reel. I do not like the 5 to 1. I just don't like doing this constantly. Like it's just too much. A 5-to-1 after a reel, and it's not hard to crank this thing. I understand maybe if you're throwing a 10XD or something really huge, but if this is a 5XD, it's not hard to crank. I don't get tired of cranking, and a lot of times that's what it was. It's not for the speed. I can control speed with how fast. Like I can always go slower. It's hard to go faster though with a 5-to-1. Like you really got to burn one, and so I'll control speed. It was really the lower gear ratio was a lot about like making it easier for you to reel. Well, these things aren't pulling. It's not like you're dragging an anchor back there. So that's why I've got 20-pound Sunline Sniper, 18 to 20. Everyone's gonna be like, just listen. I've gone into Sunline before about the line diameter and everything, about how it's the correct diameter. So like the diameter of Sunline is always smaller. It's not smaller. How about this? It's normal, and everyone else just up their line diameter. 20-pound, 18-pound. Your crankbait doesn't run any different. You use 12-pound, will you get it down a foot more? Yes, but I'm not worried about trying to get it down a foot more. Heck, I'm hitting the bottom pretty easy in some of these places. So it's not always about trying to always maximize your depth. You can see a lot of times I'm not even casting that far because I don't have to. A lot of times you cast real far to get your crankbait down there. But if you're not worried about any of that stuff, which 9 times out of 10, I'm going to pick a crankbait that matches the depth I want. I don't really want to have to. We make crankbaits now that go 25, 26 foot. So I'm able to get my crankbait down based on the crankbait I buy, not by having to sacrifice my line, right, and go to a thinner line, a smaller diameter just to get my crankbait down there. If I wanted to get down 2 more feet, I get a crankbait, I get a 6XD. If I want to go 2 more feet than that, I get an 8XD. If I want to go 4 more feet than that, I get a 10XD, right? So that's just how I do things. Yes, you will get a bigger crankbait, but for right now, 5XD works. That is the little bit of crankbait knowledge I can share with y'all, and hopefully, like I said, not a lot of guys are crankbait fishing. Need to get on out there, throw a crankbait. Well, no one's doing it. Like, fish are getting stacked up. It's almost like they've never seen one before. They see those minnows, right? They don't see that crankbait.